Hello, and welcome to the Banker's View from Sibos video series looking at all the hot topics here in Toronto. I'm Joy Macknight, Deputy Editor at The Banker, and I'm joined by Mike McGovern, who's Head of Investor Services FinTech Offerings at Brothers Harriman. Mike, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you for inviting me.
On the last day of Sibos, what would you say were the hot topics this year?
Well, I think the hot topics revolve around data, DLTs, and their impact on market infrastructure, on standards, evolution, and technology.
And you were recently appointed to your position. Sort of what was the rationale behind this newly created job?
Yeah, well, our fintech business at BBH has actually been around in one way, shape, or form for 15 years. But what's happened is we've brought together the different elements of our technology services offerings for asset managers and financial institutions under a single fintech banner. I think of us as having the soul of a startup in an institution that's been around for actually 200 years as of next year.
Wow. And so what are your aims and goals in your position?
Well, as always, our goal is to serve our clients well, with distinction, and deliver capabilities that support their business strategies and enable their success. And with respect to fintech, it's really around the future of it, I'd say, is data-centric, and it's about creating value in the data economy. So I like to think of us as being, if we're fortunate enough to be hired by an organization, I'd like to think of us as the general contractor of their data flows in a multi-provider world, which is the world we all live in today.
Excellent. So how would you say some of the new technologies is really coming to impact the asset management space, but also the financial institution space?
I think the new technologies, it's all about real time. It's all about moving towards more immediacy, and I think of it in terms of volume, variety, veracity of data, as well as variety. So those 4 V's. Delivering that proposition in an ever-increasing cadence of business activity. And I think with respect to asset managers, it's the creep towards the middle office and then towards the front office of an asset management firm in terms of the desire to have providers that can support their business processes, their investment priorities, and their business objectives. With respect to financial institutions, I think it's about facilitating frictionless transaction banking, facilitating information delivery in a manner that's fit for purpose for the strategy and the need of the FI.
Okay, and the overall theme of Sibos is really building for the future. What is the future for the custody business?
The future of the custody business is data. As the sort of core securities processing capabilities become less differentiated. And while we still believe custody is a game of skill because of the complexity of asset classes, particularly non-traditional asset classes that more and more organizations are getting involved in, while there are a number of providers who can offer excellent services in that space, increasingly the frontier of differentiation is really around data and accuracy, timeliness, and the fitness for purpose of the data for the client's business process. Again, enabling their business activity rather than just reporting on what the market infrastructure or the custodian holds on their records.
Okay. My last question,
Sure.
Which is a bit of a crystal ball gazing. What do you think will be the main topics in Sydney at next year's Sibos?
Well, I suspect that a number of topics that we've heard all about this week in Toronto, I think I said that right, Toronto, will actually still be part of the dialogue next year. So I think the emerging DLT revolution, distributed ledger technologies, and sort of the intersection of the traditional role that SWIFT has had in our industry and some the market infrastructures in our industry. I think as that continues to get framed and more use cases are uncovered that are relevant to that type of a technology, a decentralized ledger sort of capability, I think that will drive a lot of dialogue. And I believe that, you know, the data economy and the relevant data experience that we as providers need to create for our clients will continue to be very much a part of the dialogue in Sydney.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike. Thanks for your insights.
You're quite welcome. Thank you, Joy.